would have been left long ago. But the problem is it also has good moments. So this is what usually, this is usually the argument when we hear about the First Noble Truth, that everything is in the nature of suffering. Then we go, but. And it's true. This is how I reacted when I heard it for the first time. Because I had overcome so many difficulties already when I met the Dharma. And so when I heard about First Noble Truth, I wasn't so happy. Because I tried to prove to the person who was teaching that she was wrong, which was Annie Karen from Copan, by listing all the good things I had and by telling her all the problems that I had overcome. Hello, Tom. How are you? I'm taking your stage again, isn't it?
No. We agreed that it's not necessary to do the introduction, but you allow me to give me your permission for me not to do my
again,
single,
you can be very short because everybody knows it anyway. So
we all know it by heart.
Exactly. So that's good. So there's a chat here. Is please mute all. Some things very noisy. Yeah, can happen sometimes. Then since this is we're talking about patience, so then that's it. So that that would be one of the. So I can start, Tom, or did you want to say something?
No, just maybe welcome to everyone to another of Anila's teachings on how to be a Bodhisattva by Shantideva. And I hope to have a good lesson and a good teaching and good karma with it. Thank you very much, Anila, for giving us this teaching, and we're ready.
Well, it's very good for me also having to talk about these things, because then all of a sudden I noticed that I'm not actually also not doing it. So then when I have to, think about it and talk about it, then I have more chance, because I want to be able to do these things. I mean, this is the important thing, that we check with us, and this is the reflection we're going to do at the beginning. It's like, I have values. And I would like to be able to live these values, but then sometimes I see I fall totally short. Like with some people that I like, yes, then the values come very easy. And with other people that I dislike a bit, I can hide it very nicely. And, easy, kind of simple things like, somebody who came back from the East, she asked me if she can have the address here, so that because she doesn't know where she will go and she keeps moving around. So I said yes. And, I don't like her that much. So, and she doesn't, she waits for me to ask her, to tell her that there is mail for her, and then I sometimes have to bring it there or whatever. She never asks from her own side. Is there mail? Can I come and pick it up or whatever? So I had this feeling to, okay, this time I'm not going to tell her that there is mail. This time I'm going to wait until she acts. And then, there's all this Shantideva, blah, blah, blah going on in the head. Kind of, hey, wait a minute, if that would be the Dalai Lama, or if that would be your teacher, imagine the Dalai Lama telling you, is it okay if my mail comes to your letterbox and then you let me know when there is mail? I would be so happy. For every letter, I would immediately call him and bring it personally the same moment that the letter arrives. So I was seeing that I was not behaving in a way that actually fits my values. And so that by seeing it, so again, we go into this awareness thing. So by seeing it, then one has the chance to change something. Yeah. And today I had a very nice conversation with her. This morning I sent her the WhatsApp, blah, blah, there's mail and and she didn't answer and she didn't react. And then this evening I just, called, and then, so she knows that there's mail. So this is what I'm saying is like, so this is the reflection that we're going to do, because it's really important. I mean, it's okay just to ask oneself, what kind of person would I like to be? But sometimes it's not enough. Then we become very general. So maybe this time we make the reflection, and you can even write it down if you want, or you can write it in the chat. What kind of values, would I like to live? Would I like to be able to live? The idea that these values are valuable, this we already have. So it depends what it is. And once we know exactly what we want and what it is, then we can start going in that direction and slowly and very gently kind of transform our mind so that, after a while, after training the mind, we will be able to do this spontaneously and uninterruptedly and effortlessly on top of it. Yeah. Like Eshitashi, I think I might have said it already because he's teaching every Sunday on the King of Prayers. And so he said it's like, when we do in the 7 limbs, when we do confession, like we shouldn't be guilty or we shouldn't be ashamed that we are doing negative actions. Because our non-values, what we criticize in others, what we also have, because we criticize in others when they're arrogant, when they're selfish, when they're jealous, when they're greedy, when they are total nutniks, when they are, this we can see in others very, very easily. And we criticize them. So it's not something that we would like to have, but still we have it, isn't it? So then he said, well, don't be surprised because these emotions or mental attitudes, they arise spontaneously. You don't have to bring them up, they just come. Whereas love, compassion, altruism, we have to think about it and we have to then, make an effort that the mind is going in that way. So he says, well, no wonder, that at the moment as unenlightened beings, we react rather not according to how we would like to be, but this is what we're here for. Yeah. So the first step is to really know what we want. So we do some awareness meditation again, like always at the beginning is always good to do. You already, I'm pretty sure that you already, most of you, I know that most of you do that on a, on a daily basis. Yeah, that you just sit, even if it's just 10 or 20 minutes every day. I mean, it's so valuable. But still, it's good to do also in a group because we get the group energy, which is very nice. And we see that we're not so exotic and other people are doing this as well. So you try to sit with a straight back. And the first thing is always make sure your body is comfortable. And then we, by seeing if the body is comfortable or not, we need to connect with the body, not just to have an idea about the body, which is comfortable. So you need to experience the body. This is what awareness is all about. Not to have an idea about it, but to experience it. So close your eyes if you want. You can keep them open also if you want, but really experience your body. And know directly that the body is sitting, as opposed from before that you knew about that you were sitting, but you were not really aware. Or let's say you did not know that you know that the body is sitting. It's a bit like this. So because we are aware all the time, the mind has an object all the time, but sometimes we're not aware of it. We're not aware that we are aware. So how does that feel? Awareness of body, knowing that the body is sitting and really experience it. And then check, but with your mind, with your awareness, not by moving the body, if there's any tension. And you will notice with the small tensions, if you go from, different parts in your body, you can start at your feet and then move up your legs. The moment you are aware of a tension, immediately the muscle kind of releases itself. We don't even have to move. So this is how awareness can help us to be totally relaxed, at least in the body, because then also the mind can relax. So you can do your feet and your legs. I'll guide you through it because it's kind of difficult to go through the whole body alone. And as you breathe in, you experience that area. You know that area. Not judging, not having any opinions, just to watch, just to be there. Experience the sensations like that come from touching either the ground or, when you're sitting on the cushion, it's the whole legs who make contact with the cushion. So as you're breathing in, you become aware of the sensations. And as you're breathing out, you think that you totally let go. You totally open up that area. You become very spacious, almost like with the out breath, you almost become bigger. Then you go to you move upwards to your abdomen, your genital areas, abdomen, your buttocks and your lower back, kind of the lower part of your upper body. Same thing as you breathe in. You're fully aware of that area, the sensations that you feel there. As you breathe out, you become spacious, open. So Neta, we are doing awareness of body, and we did the legs and the feet. And now we're on the lower part of the upper body. By breathing in, noticing the sensations, by breathing out, becoming spacious and open down to the smallest cells. We don't need to move. To do that, we can feel that something shifts. And then you're aware of the shifting, the changing. Then you move up to your chest and the upper part of your back. You can include the shoulders also. Same thing, as you breathe in, you become aware of the sensations. As you breathe out, you become very spacious. And the load that we usually carry on our shoulders, we try to make them harder so that they're more strong. It's usually just mental loads, like problems that we're trying to solve. Your shoulders cannot solve the problems. So especially there, think that the shoulders totally relax down to the smallest cells. Like little flowers, when the sun shines on it, they totally open up. You don't need to hold anything. Then by breathing in, the chest also, something that can help when you're there also, you feel my lungs are working. How wonderful. Especially now, we know about people who have COVID-19. They're like, wow, I can breathe freely. How wonderful. As you breathe out, you let go of all tensions and your upper body becomes very spacious, almost bigger by breathing out. Then you move down your arms and your hands. There again, especially in the hands, there's always sensations that we're most of the time not aware of. So be with them, experience them, feel them. Make sure your hands are not too heavy in your lap, that they're not pushing down, they're very light. Just resting if you're sitting cross-legged on your thighs or on your knees. If you're sitting on a chair also, it's good to put them on your knees very lightly, like leaves just resting there. Then you're doing your neck and your throat. Same thing. By breathing in, you experience it, you are aware of it, that area of the body. By breathing out, you become very open and very spacious. Then something also very important, you go to your face where we are usually holding lots of small tensions. So even the face, you can kind of divide it. So first you check your jaws, your mouth, your lips, and breathing out, letting go, becoming soft, open, spacious. Then your cheeks. Then can even be your ears. All of a sudden we become aware of our ears, that without them we wouldn't hear. So how wonderful that they function. Then another very important area is your eyes, especially behind your eyes, around your eyes, that we hold small tensions sometimes. Just let them drop, don't hold anything. And then the front. Okay, and then if your object of meditation is usually your breath, now you go to the tip of your nose. If you don't have too many thoughts, if you have a lot of thoughts, it's better to go to your abdomen where you notice the rising and falling. If you're more or less calm or even tired or sluggish, it's good to take the nose and you are aware of the air coming in, and then the air going out, you probably don't notice so much, but that's okay. And you might detect some smells. And there again, even if it stinks, even if it doesn't smell so nice, just be happy that you can smell. Because many people with this COVID-19, they lose this sense. So then just, being aware, breathing in when you're breathing in, being aware that you're breathing out when you're breathing out. You make a conscious choice not to plan and not to follow your thoughts. You choose not to follow your thoughts. You give yourself the freedom to allow the mind to rest on in-breath and out-breath. And I'll let you do that for 5 minutes without saying anything. Okay, then we can do a short reflection by again just thinking what kind of person would I want to be, or what kind of qualities would I like to have? Or as we started with the talk, what kind of values would I like to be able to live? Because the values, we definitely have them in the head, like love, compassion, whatever. So try to be really precise. Like, we can think, what do we value in others? What do we think? What kind of mental attitudes are what we would call values and not defects? And then we might notice, okay, yes, it's true, I have these values in the head, but not in the heart. Like I'm not really able to live them. And then to check, okay, so what am I doing about this? Because in a way, we are quite confused. So if we get even more confused when we have values in the head, but then we act totally the other way. So it's really good just to recognize and then to check, what kind of methods do I use in order to either, apply antidotes when I live contrary to my values, or what kind of methods do I use in order to develop these values so I can live them, as we said, spontaneously, effortlessly, continuously. Try to make a list in your head of your values, or write it down on a piece of paper, or as I said, you can now start writing it in the chat so we can see, we can share. Or after a few minutes, after 1 or 2 minutes, you can also say. But writing in chat, I think, in this format with the Zoom is quite a good thing. Elisheva, sport, joy, space, and dignity. Maybe I can open it because then I can get the list. Yeah, that's great. Okay. Yes, thank you. Is writing too difficult? Would you rather say it, or what shall we do? I know that if you have a tablet or a telephone, it's not easy to write in the chat. I think I might be wrong, but I definitely also prefer the computer. Having compassion for everybody. Yeah. Again, let's just maybe, define compassion. Compassion is an attitude. May all beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So that we are clear on it. With the joy has causes in spiritual terms, joy, prithvi in Sanskrit, which is a very nice word. I really like that word. So like one of the causes is ethical conduct, like not harming anybody. Another cause is generosity. Another cause, of course, is, having a meaningful life. Another cause for joy is humor, like being able to laugh about yourself. And then also they say another cause for joy is bodhicitta. Like that really makes your life very meaningful, like having a clear direction, knowing it might last a long time to actualize bodhicitta, but really going for it and slowly kind of bending the mind in another way from self-centeredness to having an open heart towards all beings. Michal is saying authenticity. Yeah, this is a big one, isn't it? Humble and listener. The authenticity is like it's kind of very fashionable word at the moment. So so we have to see what does it mean. For me, being authentic means, but that's just for me. Maybe for Michal, you can say then might be something different. Is when I can live my values, but not because I fake. When I can live my values and it comes spontaneously, it happens sometimes, believe it or not. Then I feel authentic. Whereas when I'm angry, in the middle of anger or even self-centeredness, I also feel authentic, but it's not really, it's not really what I want. Nahum, I prefer the bodhicitta kind of mind. It's everything for me, so I have to meditate daily and to listen to Dharma on a daily basis, and still sometimes I fall to my afflictive emotions, but it gets better slowly. So with the, then Tom is saying generosity, respect to others' opinions. Wow, that's nice. It would be so nice, isn't it, to have that? Not because I have that. I have respect for other people's opinions, but luckily that I'm aware, like, after 30 years of training awareness, I know when they say something, I know that is inside no respect at all for that opinion. And there is this urge wanting to say something opposite. But then because I have this kind of, most of the time I'm aware of it, and then I can just shut up, at least that. Yeah, so, but it's a really good thing because then we don't need to go into long discussions and even start fighting and becoming aggressive, because I can see they're not going to change their opinion and I'm not going to change mine. But to have respect for the other person as a person and to see the things that we have in common and not to concentrate so much on the different opinions. So that's a good one, Tom. Yeah, it's very difficult to develop because like we had another vote this weekend in Switzerland about big companies, not just the big ones, also the small ones, being held responsible for damage they do to people and to the environment. And it was just like most of the people said yes, but then one part of the government said no, so then it was like rejected. And I got so not angry but kind of disappointed, again, to see like we're such a rich country and, people live so well here and we're living off the back of people in the third world who work for very, very, very little money and like that. So then to meet somebody who has voted no for that initiative, then I find a bit difficult sometimes. But still, it's good to respect them. I think we had this conversation last time with maybe with Hila. I can't remember whom we had it. Like the situation in Israel with your government. Not to hide my nature. Yeah, if you think my nature is goodness, then that's a good one. Yeah, to really become clear, what is my nature? Is it aggression? Is it goodness? Is it both of it together? It cannot be. Because when you say my nature is both, it seems a bit like this. This is all of me. So this is my natural me, I, aggression and love. But that would be like saying water can be burning and wet. Yeah, because aggression and love are opposite. So then we have to become quite clear, what is my nature? Yeah, not to hide my nature. Moral ethics, yeah, this is also very nice. Okay, my dears, we are on verse 64. Let me see if I'm not making a mistake. No, yeah. We are on verse 64 on the chapter on patience, and nobody wrote down patience. So why, since almost March, you are listening to me on this chapter when patience is not one of your values? Well, Nahum is coming to
Wait, we were going to say you didn't wait enough.
Okay. Well, Nahum, you are the closest, because when you say about bodhicitta, and if you are, if you have engaging bodhicitta, you practice generosity, ethical conduct, patience, enthusiasm, concentration, and wisdom. And on top of it, you practice each of these 6 perfections not alone. Like when you practice generosity, you check whether it's ethical what you're giving. You check, you do with patience, you don't want anything back. You do with enthusiasm, you start to understand, wow, this person gives me a moment of happiness. If you really want to give, and it doesn't have to be money, it can be your time, it can be your knowledge. Like somebody was asking me to help them find something, and it was to rent, and it's really difficult. And I spent the whole day like phoning this firm and that firm and this firm, and I really want to find it because I want to be able to provide that thing to the person, and it made me really happy, although I spent the whole time with it, because they're not from Switzerland, so they can't do it by themselves. So generosity is like, it's you don't need anything back if you really want to do it, and if you really want to give it. And even though I haven't found it yet, but I'll continue tomorrow, and the person say, oh, don't drive yourself crazy and all this. I said, but it's okay, I want to do it because there's a lot of joy in it, as Elisha was saying, joyfulness, being able to help somebody but you don't want anything back. This is like, wow, because I don't know the people. I don't even know her. I've never met her. Somebody said, why don't you ask Rita? So that's what I did. So generosity, and we do it with enthusiasm, with concentration, like, is it the right thing to give? And with wisdom, that's the most important. I was doing this action, the object that I'm giving, the one who is receiving it, all 3 totally empty of any inherent existence. So we're not going into pride and all these kinds of things. Okay, open heart to listen to others. Yes, that is very nice. Also quite difficult, isn't it? Because when they go on and on and on and on and on, there's this maybe I should translate it into English. I would try. There is this very nice, I don't know, it says, it's a tribute. There's a prayer of old people, what old people are asking for, or as you are aging. And it's attributed to Teresa of Avila, but I don't think that she wrote it. I think somebody else, because these nice things sometimes, just put a name underneath, like I did with Einstein at the beginning, and then it wasn't Einstein. But it's really nice. It's really funny. Maybe then I translate it one day, and because one of the things is also, please God, give me the patience to listen to other old people, to their ailments, without wanting to tell mine. Yeah, so this is, usually when somebody starts to tell us about their problems, then we come with our problems, because it kind of wakes up our our mirror neurons, and it reminds us that compassion comes up, and it reminds us of our own difficulties that we had, and so we want to tell them, and sometimes we want to tell them our own problems in order to make them feel better. But I think we definitely know from our own side that doesn't really work like that, does it? Because when somebody's asking you, how are you? And you tell them what's going on in your life and they start to tell you their problem, then you kind of also feel a bit, not so inspired, actually. If they want to know how you are and then they start to tell you about their problem, it's sometimes not so nice. But we do the same thing. One does it almost spontaneously. Okay, so but one of the values that one would develop in this Wednesday evening class would be patience, by the way. So so you all wrote down your values, so it's good you write them on a piece of paper and you can continue and to really see and to really experience when you are able to live them, to see not so much, feels good, it has to feel like this or it shouldn't feel like that, but you really see how it makes you feel, to experience how it feels to be able to live your values. And then again, how do I develop them? So then, of course, because knowing that these are my values, I want to live them, this is not enough. So then we need to find some methods in order to develop them or to have antidotes to go against them. And then, the Buddha Dharma gives you plenty of antidotes and plenty of methods, but not everything works for everybody. This is also what you have to be careful about. You have to find out what works for you. This is why also Shantideva's text, there's so many antidotes and so many methods. You don't have to learn them all and apply them all, but it's good to try them out, many of them, and see, oh, this works, or oh, this doesn't work. Yeah, and then we find what works best for us. Is that clear, or do you have a question, or you want to say something, or you want to write something? Don't forget, this is a discussion group, supposed to be like a study group where one discusses and not just listens. You are allowed to have an opinion. I'm quite a good listener to other people's opinions, even if they're not mine. No, all clear? Yeah. Okay, then we go to the text. You can also say, just shut up and I want to know the text. So, don't spend so much time in telling stories. Lord, give me the peace of mind to receive the things that I could not change. Yeah, exactly. The courage, wait, I have to open it. It's gone because I was looking for the text, right? To receive that I could not change, the courage to change what I was able to, and the wisdom to differentiate between the two. And the wisdom, I would say, is the awareness and to see your attitude, your motivation, why you want to change something. And this is a good thing about patience, by the way. Thank you, Dalit. Because, we go like, how long do I practice patience without reacting? So usually they say you practice patience by not interfering, not wanting to change anything, just accepting the whole thing, as long as it doesn't harm your spiritual practice. Because then when you practice patience with your noisy neighbor, and you practice, and you're not, you're just accepting it and you're accepting it, but you're getting angrier and angrier and angrier and angrier, that doesn't help your spiritual practice. That doesn't kind of diminish your ego. Your ego just, gets more and more angry and finds reasons, this is terrible and this and that, and then it might explode into something that is totally not helpful. So then you would go and very gently ask your neighbor, maybe not to be so noisy, but leaving the expectation that he will do what you ask him to do at home, because it might also be a cultural thing. Because I know many of you have been to India, and if Indians are very noisy people, the TV is always full blast on with all the windows open, and until early mornings, like everybody's already sleeping in front of the TV and it's still full on, and you go and ask them to kind of turn it down, that it's very noisy. They see that you're having a problem somewhere, but they don't know what the problem is, because for them it's not noisy. So they apologize and apologize, say, yes, madam, yes, madam, yes, madam. But no way they're going to turn it down, the volume, because they don't understand what you're saying. Yeah. Or when you travel in not second class AC, maybe the more educated Indians are not like this, but you know, the normal kind of wooden class where people have they used to have 30 years ago, I don't know how it is now, their ghetto blaster with them. And it's like, you know, on one burst, there's like 3, 4, 5 people with their radio on. And as I say, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning, radio is still on, everybody's sleeping. And, but it's like, they're not disturbed by it. Or they come on the train at 3 o'clock in the morning and start having a conversation with somebody, also totally not, you know, because the Indians can sleep when there is noise. They don't care. They're not getting upset. They're not getting nervous. They just sleep. You know, then it's like, because it's such a noisy country, they grow up with this noise. Yeah, so then they don't understand what you're talking about. Don't know if you know, I don't know if you have experienced it. So it's really funny. Oh. Okay, so let's go to the text. So we came until, can you see it? You just need to note, yeah, okay. So we came until verse 63, I think last time, and the homework was taking the good, again, you know, gratitude. And this is something that already in the morning, you know, you can really generate that mind, because then, I can't remember which number verse it was, but in one of the verses before, Shantideva says, like the fuel for anger is an unhappy mind. Yeah. So when you get out of the house and your mind is already angry because, I don't know, because there was no hot water in the shower, or because if you're living with other people, they didn't wash the dishes from last night, or, you know, many things can make us upset. And then we just concentrate on that. And then we go out of the house. Then the door for anger and frustration and stress is really, really open. So it's important that it's good to, when you think about the good things that you have, then you think about the good things that you have, because then you can, then the mind is more strong, it's more spacious. Because I just, I saw on Facebook that Maya went back to India, and I thought, like, oh my gosh, she must be crazy to go back to Tushita in the winter. You know, it's so cold. If you want to take a shower, you have to go outside. You have to walk through the snow sometimes to take the shower, and you have no idea whether there will be hot water or no hot water, because there's, you know, still these boilers with electricity, and sometimes there's no electricity. The boilers are quite small. Many people living at Tushita, so you don't know, is the water warm? No, and it's like, and it's freezing cold. You know, so since I was there quite many winters, voluntarily in the winter, I would definitely not have the courage to go back, because it is so difficult. So then every morning when I have a hot shower, you know, I still think of Tushita, where, you know, one wasn't sure to get a hot shower. And I'm really grateful and I'm really happy just to have a hot shower. Or the coffee, you know, when you think, where does coffee come from? So many people work in order for you to have a cup of coffee, and we just gulp it down. So when you think about all these people and you wish them well and you wish them happiness and all this, doesn't matter how the coffee tastes. But if you're just concerned about yourself, then it's very important how the coffee tastes. Yeah. And then if your heart is open and you're grateful, coffee becomes anyway much better. Even the good coffee becomes much better. Okay. So now we come to another kind of topic, is because our aggression, our anger always somehow, because we like to be angry. This is another sad thing, because it comes spontaneously and we somehow enjoy it sometimes. We always feel it's justified. Somebody needs to close the microphone, I think. I don't know who it is. Maybe Tom, can you check? So then we think, yeah, but somebody is harming the Buddha or somebody destroys the Dharma, then one has a reason to be angry. So Shantideva was saying, should others talk badly or even destroy holy images, reliquaries, and the sacred Dharma, it is improper for me to resent it, for the Buddhas can never be injured. So if his mind says, but sure, I should be able to get angry, Shantideva again talks to himself. He says, no, sorry, it is not proper, because the Buddhas have compassion for all beings. You cannot harm them. Okay, because somewhere in the text, you know, you will not see one single line of teaching about defending the Buddha Dharma to harming others or to being aggressive. Not one line. The Buddha is not saying, hey, you have to defend my doctrine, you have to defend my view, you have to fight for it. Nowhere. I don't know why we get this idea sometimes. Yeah. So because there's nothing. So the reason is that the Buddhists themselves cannot be harmed. The same way, you see, if you have real unattached love for somebody, but unattached love, not attached love, and this person harms you, you can actually generate compassion for them because love is there and understanding is there. But if attachment is mixed with your love, then it won't hurt. So I think if a child is telling his mother, I hate you, it's not pleasant. It's definitely not pleasant when you feel aggression or anger from somebody else, but she doesn't hold on to it because it's a child and the love for the child is quite pure. Whereas if the partner says it and there's a lot of attachment there, then it wouldn't be, she would be much more hurt or harmed. And when we are hurt or when we are harmed, then we also get aggressive. Yeah, so this is, we have to be aware that the Buddhas can never be harmed. They remain untouched by delusions directed at them because they see it's delusions. Yeah, they can see actually the people will suffer in the future. So this might cause us to wonder that since the Buddha cannot receive any harm, why would there be anything called negative karma being committed against the Buddha? Because it says when you kind of read the teachings on, I'll close this again so I can see you. When you read the teachings on karma, that one of the very powerful objects is your teachers, because they allow you to learn things so that then you can live your values. And, when we talk about spiritual teachers, is your parents. And of course, it's the three jewels, your parents, and then the sick and the poor. So what do you think? Why? If the Buddhas cannot get hurt, then why does that create negative karma? When we are destroying statues out of anger, or, if you drop one, well, you drop it. And if it's made out of clay, it will break.
Because of the intention.
Huh?
Because of the intention of the person who is trying to do the harm.
Yeah, exactly. So there again, we can see that the karma, if you steal money from somebody and your intention is stealing, but the person doesn't mind at all, you still create the karma of stealing. So we always kind of think, well, if it doesn't harm the other, it's okay. But the karma is created in the mind, in your intention. It doesn't matter what it does to the other person. Yeah. So again, imagine, the Chinese army, I think they destroyed something like 6,000 monasteries when they came into Tibet in the 50s. Yes, Gidi? You
have this problem. If someone is doing something which is negative, but he has no intention of doing something, he's not aware of being harmful. People destroying the environment, using, I don't know, like plastics or eating animals and and they're not aware of the animals or of the environment.
I'm not sure if they're not aware of it. You see, usually maybe they're not aware of it in their head, but they're definitely aware of it, that being killed and being treated in a way that the animals are treated, that if they would be treated that way, they would be aware that this is not a good thing. This is how the karma gets created, by more by the subtle mind, not by the, we can cook up good intention and then the intention is totally rotten deep down, but we slowly start to believe that like when I started saying about the person with her mail, I can start believing, well, she has to learn that she has to ask for whether there is mail or not, and I want to educate her and but that wouldn't be the right intention. So this is how Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche actually explains it. It's not what you feel at the moment when you do it that creates then the karmic imprint, but because if that would be done to you, then you would feel kind of hurt or negative, then the negative imprint gets created. And I kind of understand, this makes a lot of sense. But again, karma is very, very complex. But that it's not that if I harm you and I'm not aware that this is harming you, that doesn't really count so much. More what counts is the same thing would be done to me and I would feel hurt. Then I know that this is not a good thing to do. Do you see what I mean? I kind of like that explanation from Tsongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. And he said we create negative karma by harming others because we know compassion. By compassion, you know the suffering. So this is why when you hurt somebody, because we also have this attitude of compassion, we can feel compassion. When we hurt somebody, it creates negative karma. Okay, I need to, maybe if I'm ignorant of my bad doings in this life, it will come back to me as receiving ignorance. I need to open it. Also, ignorance creates bad karma of more ignorance. Yeah. Well, yeah. There's different kind of ignorances. So they talk about two ignorances that Geshe-ma will be talking about on the 7 limbs, on the 12 links. It's like there's the ignorance of not knowing the consequence of our actions. So that's kind of the worldly ignorance. And there is this ignorance of not knowing like the nature of existence, about emptiness and these kinds of things. That's more the transworldly ignorance. But if I'm ignorant of my bad doings in this life, it will come back to me as receiving ignorance from others and getting hurt. I don't know if it comes back like this, but yeah, So this is basically, Tom is saying the same thing. Like, if it doesn't have to be next life, So if the karma from my harming others is coming back, then I understand it as negative. Yeah. Like if I steal from somebody else in the supermarket, let's say I steal a chocolate bar and I say, oh, come on, it's just a chocolate bar. Nobody is suffering from this. But then I come out and somebody stole my bicycle. Well, then I understand that stealing is not a good thing. I get upset. Yeah, because also the person who owns this chocolate bar, even if it's not if it's not of much value, still he would get upset because he's not kind of putting it things for stealing, he's putting it things for selling, for paying. Yeah, so a little bit like this. Or even, it doesn't have to be, you can say, okay, chocolate bar is very small, bicycle is quite big. Yeah, it can be something other small, even if somebody steals something very small from us, like, like I said the other day, when I do pujas here, because it's so many things, I put it on the shoe rack, so for the people in the house to take. And somebody brought me some, actually it wasn't real eggs, it was chocolate eggs, but in a box of real eggs. So somebody else took it. So I said, well, yeah, anything that is on the shoe rack here, because you put it on the shoe rack, people take, because for them it's for taking. And I'm happy when they take it. I'm very unhappy if they're not taking it. Now, if I would put a basket next to it with donation, then that would already be, everything is gone, but nothing is in the basket. Maybe I wouldn't be so happy. But people give me money for the puja. I have to buy these things, whether I want or not. And then I'm happy if somebody else is taking it, because nobody is coming here. So this is another really interesting karmic thing with this money for the pujas here in the center. I don't have many people participating in pujas, but I have quite a lot of people making big donations for pujas, even though, I don't know, the envelope with the money is always full. It was almost down to zero, and all of a sudden 100 francs here, 50 francs there is like quite amazing. Because I decided to continue with the puja, even though, you know, nobody is coming, because pujas, I don't know if they create positive energy. I have no clue, but I definitely know they don't create negative energy. And it's, you know, it's not a waste of time for me. And I can feel it has some influence, but I don't really know exactly how it works. Okay, so the whole thing with the, with the karma, so against the Buddhas. So the karma is generated from the doer side. It's not generated from the receiver side. So committing violence or negativity against the triple gem implants karmic seeds, which will bear suffering results. Buddha is one of the greatest objects of offering, yet he also has the most potent object in relation to the creation of negative karma. Now, I don't know about these Chinese soldiers, you know, what attitude they had when they destroyed these monasteries, but definitely the people who told them to go and destroy these monasteries, their intention was definitely not good, because Mao said that religion is opium for the people. So he didn't want them, to be there. What I remember, but then because, you know, the people that were living in these monasteries, I think that many of them didn't get angry. Instead of getting angry, they actually generated compassion for the soldiers and for because they knew that they had destroyed or had an order to destroy these monasteries out of anger and out of aggression, because they didn't want them to be there. It wasn't just out of joy or whatever. It was because of aggression. And I remember many years ago, I think I wasn't a nun, maybe 30 years ago, maybe you can still find the article in the newspapers. I was in the center in California, and there were some monks in San Francisco, and they did a Kalachakra sand mandala, or maybe Chandresic sand mandala, which takes a whole week for about 8 months, for 8 months to create that mandala. You know, it's made with sand. You can look it up in the internet how this is done. Maybe you have seen them. It's very, very, very fine work. They make like little like this, horses and carriages and all that with sand that kind of comes out of a little tube that they rub, and then they draw with that sand. And at the end, you know, they destroy it and put it in the water. They bless it, they do the puja with it or the initiation, and then it goes in the water. So they did that for about a week in the Museum of Asian Art or something like that. And then the exhibition was opened, and of course they had people coming to look. And then one day a woman, it was like you couldn't go very close, there was ropes around. So one day the woman jumped over the ropes, went with her feet, you know, and the feet are the worst in Asia to put against an object. She went with her feet into the sand and destroyed this, destroyed the sand mandala, and was shouting kind of, "You bald-headed devils, go back where you come from," or something like that. And the security from the museum, they caught her, and the monks went to protect the woman because they thought that the security is too rough with her. Although she had just destroyed their 1 week work, you know, like that. And so the next day, why we knew about it, the next day was all over the papers, and not because the woman had destroyed the sand mandala, but because the monks had protected her. They found this so amazing that somebody destroys such a piece of art, and you know, one would think that they would kind of, put her in prison or, you know, make her pay a fine or something like that. They went to protect her from the guards so that she wouldn't get injured and not treated too roughly, and just said, just let her go, it's fine. Don't, you know, don't prosecute her and anything like that. It's very inspiring, isn't it? So instead of being angry, then they had compassion and wanted to protect her. But it doesn't mean that the woman didn't create any negative karma, because she did it with aggression. Now, of course, there is there could also be that she was maybe mentally disturbed. So that lessens the strength of the karmic imprint when you're not totally in your right mind. So that's also said in the texts. Okay, so for you, the task is that when you have a conversation with somebody about Buddhism and they criticize it, and then you check your mind state, and you don't need to defend the Buddha. Okay. So that's what's in for us, because I don't think we will come in contact with people, that come here and destroy here the Gompa or the Taras who are behind me or something like that, or spray it, or I don't think anybody would come. But in case somebody would come, then we can use that arguments that the Buddhas cannot be hurt. So then you don't have to get angry. You can protect these objects, or you practice or whatever, in order for the other person not to create negative karma. Yeah, so this is what you can do, but definitely not with aggression. Fight to protect the Buddha Dharma. Okay.
Maybe the I forgot how to say it in English.
You can say in Hebrew.
הנזירים, איך אומרים הנזירים? The monks. Maybe they were protected also themselves from creating angerness in themselves.
Yeah, but their reaction was very spontaneous.
Yeah, they didn't need to protect, but maybe us need first not to get angry. That's
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because
so yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry.
Because that's for me or for many people, when we see injustice and when we see anger, we became angry. That's the big problem.
Exactly. So that's the next verse now here. Okay. Because now it's about talk. Should others talk badly or even destroy? No, this is what we had. Then but then it said, like, I should prevent anger arising towards those who injure my spiritual masters, relatives and friends. Instead, I should see, as in the manner shown before, that such things arise from conditions. Okay. So here again, it talks about karma. Why can I be harmed by somebody through words? Why can somebody lie to me? Why can somebody steal things from me? What do you think? When it says arise from conditions, and here it should be from many conditions. Maybe makes it more clear. Yeah, I have lots of negative karmic imprints on my mind stream. So I act like a magnet for somebody who wants to steal my things, or who wants to insult me, or wants to gossip about me, or wants to criticize me, or whatever. So this is kind of my doing, isn't it? And so, we can again then a bit before the verses is like, if somebody insults somebody that I dislike, or if somebody is unjust to somebody that I dislike, do I also get angry? Yael? Because you said when we see injustice, like, for example, all the bad jokes that went around about Mr. Trump, do we see this as unjust? No, because he's a bad guy. So then we even go in the same direction. I mean, I ask people to please not to do this anymore, because it lost its fun. Because it's not funny you can see how much he was suffering, But this is what anger is doing. Very often we think it's justified. Yeah. But if it would be for somebody, if we would be, you know, if you are somebody who supports Mr. Trump, yeah, then you wouldn't find these jokes funny. You would find them very unfair and very unjust, and very cruel also. Yeah, it was very, very cruel. And this is not befitting a bodhisattva, by the way, to make fun of somebody personally. We can criticize what he's doing, definitely. We can see that this is not a good thing to do, but not to attack somebody in such a, you know, in such a cruel way. So what happens when our friends get attacked, you know, get criticized or attacked? Is the, you know, this is again, this can be a habit that we are thinking, okay, negative karma coming back. That can be a habit that first we think like that, and then, okay, what do I do now? It's okay to protect them. You know, if you're not happy with what the other person is saying, you can maybe first ask if they would like to listen to your opinion or to your view, instead of with a lot of aggression, just kind of throwing it at them. And then if they say no, then, you know, what can you do? I don't know. So you can protect, but not with anger. I think somebody also in the Facebook, somebody, I think maybe it was Tal Mayan, who wrote that very often one doesn't, it was kind of a quote, one doesn't understand compassion, that people think that with compassion you cannot fight. You can fight with compassion, but not with anger. You know, or that patience means, maybe it was like this, that patience or compassion means you don't fight. You can fight, but not with anger. It goes for both. Yeah. So not with anger against anybody. You know, you can say, oh, I'm for the victim, and I don't have anger towards the others. Do you remember these 9 kinds of anger? Why we get, 9 ways of why we are getting angry? Can you remember? And it's so true, you know. First, it has to do with us. Somebody remembers? Come on, make a little bit of effort. It's like 3 categories, kind of divided into 3. And the 3 are the 3 times, like present, past, future.
Karma imprints.
Huh?
Karmic imprints.
Yeah, no, it's more simple than that. That it's the 9 ways why we are getting angry. Okay, so we think we get angry when I think they are harming me now, they harmed me in the past, they will harm me in the future. We are sure that they're going to keep harming me. Then we get angry. Yeah. Then and anger can also be, it doesn't have to be like exploding anger. It can also be anger. We close our heart. We don't want them to be happy anymore. Or like this cold anger, we're not communicating with them anymore. Doesn't have to be exploding anger, by the way, because there's also anger. Then so there are 3 ways. Then when somebody is this case here, my teachers, my relatives and friends, then we think they're harming them now, they harmed them in the past, they will harm them in the future. So we have 6 ways. And then they are helping the people I dislike in the now, in the past, and in the future, because then we get upset. Yeah, we get upset about people who vote for Trump. And we can even get aggressive with them because they're voting for the wrong person. Yeah. So these are these 9 ways that one could get angry. So this is the case when those we love are attacked. It is ridiculous to get angry when our teacher is attacked, because that is exactly what he would never want. Have you ever heard a Buddhist teacher telling you to attack others when they are getting criticized or attacked? Have you ever heard that? No. Has it ever happened to you when you get a bit defensive when somebody, for example, I don't know, if Lama Zopa Rinpoche is your teacher, and he's very difficult to understand, and I don't know if anybody knows him. So then people, of course, criticize him. So then it's kind of difficult not to say something. Yes, Michal, you have to open your microphone.
Okay, my question is it so even in cases when, for instance, a girl is abused by her father, sexually abused by her father, so she has to conquer her anger?
No, not at all. Also, don't apply this kind of thing on other people. One thing, and definitely not on groups of people. Like when you say, oh, young girls are getting, even by teachers, if you see that a teacher or you have been abused by a teacher, you need to talk about this. You need to go and say, and if you need your anger to have the courage to say, because it's so difficult to come out with these things, you need to go and find help, definitely. And they even say with people who have been abused, in order to be able to talk about it, they need that anger first in order to get out of the victim role. So no, in that case, no, it's definitely not. But also you don't need to get angry for your teacher. Now, again, with this sexual abuse, it is such a tricky thing. Because the spiritual teachers, there's been a lot of things happening with sexual abuse towards the students. And the Dalai Lama at one point, he said, this is really terrible. If you know somebody like this, it should be written in the newspaper with photograph and names. So and also in the FPMT, we just had one teacher also who got, he's not allowed to teach anymore in the FPMT centers. And it took a long time for them to make it public, but finally they did. And the report of these women who came and who said what happened, nobody got raped or something like this, but he approached them in a sexual way, which is totally not appropriate for a spiritual teacher.
So if I understand you well, you mean that that it's not in any case that we have to conquer our anger or to turn it off, because in some cases, and I don't know if there is a principle for that. In some cases, it's very important to get in touch with our anger.
Yeah, of course. This is what we said at the beginning. At the beginning of the class in March, we talked quite a lot about this. How, because you see, anger is the thing that stays. Anger then turns into hatred and it stays with you. And anger is the wish to harm. Anger is not just the wish to stop this other person. Anger is definitely the wish to harm. This is what is said in Buddhism as anger. So when you have the wish to harm, even if it seems justified, what it always seems like, all the angers are justified, they come across as being justified, you continue to create negative karma. This is one thing. Why? But you should definitely react. And as you say, sometimes I know that people have been abused from the psychological point of view, and maybe Netta and if Netta is still here, maybe the kids needed her, or Giddy can affirm that sometimes people have been abused. They need to get angry first in order to get out of the victim role, but then they need to have help to let go of that anger. You see, sure. I had a woman in Spain at one point, and we were doing a Lamrim course, and she had been raped. Okay, so when we do a Lamrim course, at the end we do this meditation which is called Tonglen. I don't know if you know about this. Yeah, like you breathe in the suffering of somebody else, and then you give them all the happiness that you experience. So with friends, that goes very easy. Yeah, with strangers, not so much. But you actually train the mind to do that with people, with enemies. So, but you're not beginning with your enemy, okay? So when we do this meditation, then I didn't know that she had been raped. People are not coming to tell me at the beginning of the course what happened to them. Sometimes it would be helpful, But yes and no, because if I know, then maybe I talk differently, but maybe they're ready to hear what I have to say. But if I know, then I'm very careful when I talk about these things, because I don't know, if somebody is really present. This is why I'm saying this is very, very individual. And these methods should never be applied to a whole group of people. Like, for example, say, oh, it's their karma, the young girls, so they're getting raped, so who cares? No, by all means, no. So when we do this, taking the suffering of somebody that you dislike, I always tell them, don't take your biggest enemy. But she, so we did the meditation and it seemed to be okay. But then in the night, she came to my room and she was vomiting the whole night. And she said that she was doing Tonglen with this rapist, that she was taking his future suffering and now his suffering of being, because, of being found out and all this, the fear of, and the shame and whatever, she was taking it. So I don't know why she vomited, whether it was because her ego was so revolted, or whether this whole poison that she had been keeping came out. But in the morning, she felt, wow, I've never felt so good, after the whole night of vomiting since long time. And I said, well, but, I did ask you not to take your biggest enemy. Why did you take that man? And she said, because I am sick and tired of my anger against this man. And because of my anger against this man, in every man I see the rapist. And he said, I want to have a normal life. I want to fall in love with somebody and I want to have a relationship. But as long as I have this anger, I cannot do that. That's very touching and it's very brave of her to do that. So this is what I mean. You see, anger is not the ultimate answer, even in difficult situations like that. It might be okay to have to, because anger gives us courage. So it might be okay to, to break through and to that you get out of the victim role, but then afterwards it's good to work with your anger. And I meet a lot of people, even though I'm not a psychotherapist, and then they tell me their stories, and I hear like incredibly inspiring stories about people have been abused by their parents, when they were able to forgive, and when they say that was the best moment in my life, when I was able to let go of that anger, when I felt I don't need it anymore to protect myself. Because you see, anger is not really protecting. It seems to be protecting, but it's not. Wisdom is much better protection than anger. And I don't know if you were here last week. I think we looked a little bit at these things. If there's anything that we cannot, if any problem we cannot solve without anger. And once there's, anger helps sometimes, but not always. Whereas wisdom and skillful means, can always help. But also we cannot solve every problem because it's samsara. Yeah, so a bit like this.
Also, I think it is not that we should suppress our anger, even if it's not such a big anger.
Oh, of course not.
Yeah, so we need to meet it when it comes and then to look at it. So anyway, we are not conquering it. I think we have to notice, we have to see this, and we are getting angry.
Exactly. This is it. This is where the awareness comes in. And then you have all these arguments of Shantideva, that you can use to, for example, to say, okay, the next one that we come to, but it will have to be next week, that we are kind of saying, okay, I can't put 100% blame on the other person because it's also my karma. Or we can see also that we ourselves, we don't really have a choice whether to get angry or not get angry. Anger just arises, and it's the same for others. Like, they're not really harming us voluntarily. They're harming us because they are confused, because they are under the control of their negative emotions, same way as we are. So you can use a lot of arguments, in order to, as Yael says, to talk to your anger and say, okay, what are you saying now? Or sometimes we get angry in a way, like there's a small thing, and we totally explode because maybe we have been suppressing our anger, and the small things have kind of one shift, one next shift, next, until it gets really thick. And then we go like, oh, into somebody's face, and they go like, hey, what do you know, they feel hurt because it's just a small thing. Yeah. Or when somebody makes a mistake also, it seems to be allowed in our society that we can get angry at them. And then we are wondering why people are not telling us when they make a mistake, you know, when we explode into their face every time. When they come and say, oh, I'm sorry, I broke this, or I made a mistake, or whatever, then we feel so justified to vomit all our kind of, how to say, blocked anger that we still have in us. We feel justified to let it out. So it's very good also to, when you, the greatest, the best antidote for anger is to catch it the first moment when it arises, you know, and to take we haven't come in, from verse 70, you have a few verses that deal with that, to kind of, to take your mind away from the object and then to look inside, how do I feel? And then to generate compassion for yourself. Because when you look how you feel when you're angry, you see that you feel rotten. If you don't look, anger feels as if it's your protector. When you look inside how you feel and what story it tells you, I'm not talking about abuse, I'm talking about the big angers that we have for little things. It's totally exaggerating the whole thing. It only sees one thing. Somebody just said something very, Nachum, my anger is irrational, exactly. I know it's not real and I don't want to speak with my anger. It totally exaggerates and it only sees one side. So this is where the awareness comes in, and then as Yael says, we work with this anger in a very wise and compassionate way. We challenge it. Same way as Shantideva is challenging your anger. When the anger says, but surely I can get angry when somebody's hurting the Buddha. Or surely I can get angry when somebody is hurting my family or my friends. And even Shantideva says, no, because your friends can be harmed because of many conditions. The person who is harming them is not a happy person. They also have the karma to be harmed, and so on. But with karma, it doesn't mean that you're not doing anything. Protecting is very good, but not with anger. You can show anger, but you see, anger is sitting here. This is why we can also have cold anger, where the face is smiling, but here the heart is totally closed. And you see the other person tripping or kind of spilling his tea or something like this, and inside it goes, ha, 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 ha. That is anger. Yeah.
But as you said before,
yeah,
in many cases, when I, or maybe others too, swallow their anger,
yeah, that's not right.
It brings to detachment.
You swallow your anger, and it.
When people
Yeah.
hurt very much and they swallow their anger,
Mm-hmm.
It could bring them to detachment, to not be able to communicate with others and with themselves.
Yeah, definitely. So it's, you know, you're not living it out and you're not swallowing it. You're working with it. You face
Right.
it. Yeah, you study it, you face it, you talk to it. Yeah, like you say, okay, anger, I understand you're angry now. Okay, what shall we do now? Because then you already calm down, because then you're in your rational mind, you're in the cortex. Yeah, whereas when you're angry, you're not in your cortex, you are in your, what's it called, this amygdala. You know, it's the FFF, flight, freeze, or fight. And it's not rational, this whole thing. Yeah, but it comes very spontaneously. So don't swallow it, but say, okay, you've been hurt. This is not just, this is not right. Okay, now what shall we do? Then Shantideva would say, one of the very famous verses in this 6th chapter, what's the point of getting upset if you can do something about this? And what's the point of getting upset when you cannot do anything about this? Because then you're sitting with your anger, either lived out at somebody else, because you cannot change the other person, or swallowing it, and then you suffer again. So you see, that would be rational. You ask your anger, okay, what can we do about this? Let's do something about this. What is reasonable? when nobody gets hurt. If you can even, if you can always bring in this thing that nobody gets hurt, we only want to protect, we don't want to hurt, because anger wants to hurt. And then if you need strength and kind of even, seeming aggression or a loud voice to make somebody stop, that's fine. In Buddhism, I don't know if you've seen, they have very wrathful deities, with big fangs, and they look horrible. they are to go against our negative emotions. Like they say the only enemy that we have is our negative emotions. Because, you protect yourself with anger, you hurt the other person stops because they're afraid of you, you will become the victim again in the future. This is the thing. You might have protected yourself from that for now. I mean, you don't even have to think about next life. If you have an enemy and you're stronger than them and you make them afraid with anger or your aggression, they might not harm you as long as you are strong. But the moment you become weak, tack, you get it back from them, isn't it? I mean, this is how it goes. Yeah. So we can stop this cycle by not retaliating, even though we think we have a right to retaliate. Yeah. But not every protecting forcefully is anger. Anger is your attitude.
Right.
Yeah. But yes, swallowing it, not saying anything, and then doing as if nothing has happened. I mean, this is even more harmful than living it out, by the way, because it's still there. And then it expresses itself in many, many unhelpful and unhealthy ways. Going into drugs and drinking and all these kind of things. Yeah. Okay, we have to stop here, my dears. So do you want to do some loving kindness and Tara for 10 minutes? Is that okay? Do we still have time? I never get to, I always have the intention to stop at 9:30, but it never happens somehow. But I'm getting better and better a little bit. Anyway, for those who would like to go and you don't want to do these 10 additional minutes, but that's really healing what we're going to do now. Then thank you very much for listening to me and participating. Make sure you dedicate if you don't want to do this short practice of loving kindness. And if you stay, then we dedicate at the end anyway. Okay, so we sit for a short while and again, connect with your body. And again, make sure that we're not misunderstanding what is being said. If your ego starts to rebel and say, oh, but anger is good, then you talk to your ego and you tell the ego, maybe you don't know exactly what anger is. So let's continue to listen and to discuss. This is why discussion is so important, because then these views are coming out and we can look at them. Otherwise, I just go blah, blah, blah. And you might understand it, maybe not in the right way. So it's okay to voice your doubts and your disagreement. This is what a discussion is for. It's very important. So thank you, Michal, for your question. That was very valuable. It's very important. Okay. So then, as I said, we all want to be happy. Nobody wants to suffer. So we start to connect with that wish that we have. And that we have a right to be happy. No matter if we are good or whatever, whether we live our values or we don't live our values. People make others suffer because they're not happy. Underneath anger and aggression is pain and suffering. And confusion, thinking that anger is going to really help. It doesn't. Maybe short term. I'm not denying that. You can make somebody afraid of you. That's true. But is this what we want? People who are afraid of us. So then we just generate these loving thoughts. First one is for ourselves. May I be safe. May I be protected from physical and mental harm, either harming myself or harm from others. May I be protected from physical and mental harm. And you can think these thoughts again and again and again, and you feel that something shifts inside your heart. All of a sudden, we become soft. Not, vulnerable maybe also, but in this softness and in this tenderness, there's a strength of compassion, the courage of compassion, the wish to be free from suffering. So may I be strong, healthy, free from fear, loving and peaceful. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear and anxiety, loving and peaceful. And may I be able to live my life with joy and ease. And for that, sometimes also we need methods, because if something has happened to us in the past, we can learn from it, but we don't have to hold on to it. We don't have to let it spoil the rest of our lives. So may I be able to live my life with joy and ease. So if you want and you feel comfortable, you can visualize in the space in front of you, green Tara, or whatever form that you find inspiring. Can be a source of light only. It can be something from nature. It can be Jesus. It can be, in this case, it's green Tara. And you visualize that force in front of you, helping you to kind of develop your values and to live your values. Making you strong, mentally healthy also, to be able to deal in a good way with difficult situations. And you feel being touched, this Tara is emanating light from her heart, or the source of light is emanating light, and you feel that the light is touching you and giving you that inner strength and inner freedom that we all need in order to live happy lives. And as we chant the mantra, Om Tare Tu Re Soha, because it said that Tara is the one who liberates from all fears. I just found her in my computer. I forgot to prepare it, sorry, but here she is. This is how she looks. It's a female Buddha who like a mother, protects us from fears. So you can see light rays coming from her heart and touching your body, entering your body, and so giving us these values that we would like to live, and also helping us with our fears, which also the fears create a lot of aggression, because we think we need anger and aggression in order to protect us. We need wisdom and compassion to protect us. As we chant the mantra, you can see these light rays entering your body and washing out or pushing out through all your pores in the form of black smoke or dirty water, everything that you don't want. That can have a form, or can just be black or smoke or whatever. You can be very creative with these kind of meditations. Nom Tare Tu Re Soha. Om Tare Tu tu re soa. Om tare 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 tu re soa. Then we can think that we now embody all the qualities of Queen Tara, Mother Tara, or whatever other form you have visualized. And now we are sending light from our hearts. And we send it to all the beings who all want to be happy and nobody wants to suffer. Even the aggressive ones don't want to suffer. This is why they are aggressive. And we send it with that thought that we just had for ourselves. May all beings be safe. May nobody be harmed or looked down upon. May all beings be protected from physical and mental harm, so that this madness of retaliation can finally stop. May all beings be strong, healthy, free from fear and anxiety, loving and peaceful. Everybody has the potential to be peaceful and loving. May everybody be able to live that potential. And may all beings be able to live their lives with joy and ease. And as you send out these thoughts to all beings in all directions, the east, the west, the north, the south, above, below, so that it can touch each and every sentient being, lighten up these dark corners of this world where people get exploited, where there's so much, we called it ignorance, like not caring for the environment, for other people's feelings, for other people's possessions or whatever. May it dissolve all these problems. And you see how everybody then kind of becomes lighter, more resilient, more joyful, more happy, so that nobody has to harm anybody else anymore. And you think that this is really happening, don't go like, we can really send out good energy. We unfortunately don't trust that enough. Just the good thoughts we send with light. And so we dedicate all the positive energy that we have created by discussing these things, by maybe understanding something, by thinking about it, by meditating about it. And we all be able to then, through these practices, be able to live our values that we have effortlessly, spontaneously, continuously, without interruption. Whenever we have contact with others, may it only benefit them in whatever way to bring them more happiness, to bring them less suffering, less aggression. May whoever sees me, hears me, touches me, thinks about me, talks about me, may it only be of benefit to them. May we all have happiness and the causes of happiness. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. And may we all be able to live in harmony and peace, even we have totally different opinions, as long as they are not harmful. We can have respect for other people's opinions, if they are harmful, I have the wisdom and the compassion to give a different view to this other person, but not with aggression and with anger. So we can all live our potential of joy and ease. Oops, sorry, that was a bit loud. Okay, my dears, thank you so much. Homework.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
maybe homework, talk to your aggression or anger when it comes up and ask it, okay, now in a wise way, what shall we do about this situation? And then see what happens. Yeah. Again, don't expect what should happen. See what happens. Talk to your anger. Is that okay for homework?
Yes, exactly.
Or do you have another suggestion?
I think that's better one.
I didn't hear that. Was very low voice.
I think that's the great one.
That's a big one. Well, you don't have to, I mean, you will forget anyway about it very quickly, what you're supposed to do, but try. Maybe, a spark, maybe when you feel, oh, and then you go, okay, now what could I do about the situation with wisdom and compassion for myself and for the other? Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's like, it's not easy, but still, and then don't expect any result. Don't expect, that you have to add in a certain way. I'm just asking you to talk to your anger. That's all I'm asking. I'm not saying then you should act differently and do and act with wisdom and compassion. No. First, discuss with your anger how this situation could be tackled with wisdom and compassion. Okay?
Thank you so much, Annie.
And then maybe next time you can give me your examples, what happened. Okay. Well, thank you so much for, again,
Thank you.
You're very
Thank
kind
you very much.
to me, and take care and stay healthy.
You
Thank
too.
you very, very much.
Okay, bye. Take care.
Bye.
Laila Tov, bye. Toda raba.
Bye.
תודה רבה לכל מי שהשתתף, תודה רבה לכולם שבאתם, ונתראה בשבוע.